everyone, if this is your first time to my channel, hello and welcome. My name is Emily and today I'm going to be bringing you a review on the new Venus XL palette. Now before I get started with the review, I just wanted to say a few things. I am super thankful for everyone who has been subscribing lately. It makes me really happy to know that the videos that I'm putting out, people actually want to watch. Because I was a little bit skeptical at first and I wasn't sure if anyone was even going to be interested. So I'm really happy that people have been giving me good feedback and everyone that I've talked to has been super sweet. Now, I also wanted to say that on my last video, the DIY Becca Parisian Lights highlighter video, I got a lot of comments saying that they liked this series, and I wanted to ask you guys if there's anything specific that you wanted me to try and make. Now, I'm not going to be able to make everything because I'm just making stuff out of my collection, just stuff that I don't really use and have lying around, but if there's anything specific that you would be interested in seeing how to make one of your own, go ahead and just leave it in the comments or just let me know on one of my social media platforms and I would be absolutely willing to give it a go. But with that being said, I am here to bring you a review today. So if you are interested in watching the review, let's go ahead and get right on into the video. So I bought the Venus XL palette when it first launched. I bought it as soon as Trendmood had posted that it was already ready to go. It actually launched a day earlier than it was supposed to, so I'm not really sure why companies do that. I think it's a hype thing, but that's besides the point. And I got it pretty fast. It shipped within the first like 5 hours of me placing the order, so that was pretty cool. And then I got it within 4 or 5 days of placing the order, so I got this about a week ago and I've been testing it out ever since. So you do get 18 shades for $56. Now I do feel like that's kind of expensive, but the original Venus palette you get 8 shades for, I believe it's $38, and then you can buy a bundle for the Venus 1 and the Venus 2 and I think that's like $45 or something, but that's still 16 shades. You still get 2 more in here for a couple more dollars. And personally for me, I love the color theory that's happening in here. The berries, the pinks, the corals. If you have watched any of my videos, then you know that I adore berry coral tones and peachy tones, and this is just right up my alley. Now, I do already previously have the Venus 1, and after purchasing the Venus XL, I saw some swatches by Dupe That, and they showed that basically you can dupe out this palette with the Venus, just the regular old 8-pan Venus palette. There are some really similar shades, and to me, I guess I'm not upset about that because it is the Venus XL. They didn't necessarily say it was going to be a new like color theory or anything. They named it the same thing as the first palette, just an XL version, so I guess it makes sense that they would stick to similar tones. I think that maybe they could have gone a different direction with some of the deeper tones in here. As you can see, there are the bright pops of colors, and I'll go over the shades in a little bit, but we have these kind of berry colors up here, we have the coral and pink tones, and then we have some of the deeper berries, but the rest of the palette to me is kind of boring once you get past those shades. Now we have some of these colors right here that are the more mauve tones. I feel like if they wanted to really amp this palette up and make it something that's really unique and pretty, they could have made those mauve kind of brownish colors in this palette purpley, like done some purple tones with the berries and the corals and the peaches. To me, that would have been a beautiful, well-rounded out palette, and that would have been something that we haven't seen too many times. I feel like companies always try and really play it safe when it comes to putting a variety of tones in a palette, and I feel like they should really think about color theory and what colors actually go together, because corals, peaches, berries, and like purples, like deep beautiful purples, go together really well. And I'm not saying that the mauves and the more brownie tones in this palette don't go with this. They definitely do, but it's something that we've seen a lot of times. If you have the original Venus palette, you have these tones. So they could have amped it up definitely a little bit by changing some of these deeper like brown colors and the deeper mauves into like purples, like vibrant purples. It would have been more of a colorful palette, and I think that that would have been really unique to the market, and I am a huge fan of color, so anytime that it could be more colorful, I am there for. So now I'm going to talk about the overall aesthetic of the palette. So basically the packaging, and then the colors. The packaging to me is really, really pretty. It's really similar to the original Venus palette. It's just a lot smaller and a lot more compact, and it's more of a yellowy and blue toned kind of color theory on the palette. This one is more of a pinky and gold theory happening here, which I think makes a lot of sense for the actual palette inside. I think the packaging fits the palette really, really well. The inside is a metallic gold foil kind of mirrored packaging, which sucks ass if you do YouTube and you're in front of a bright light, because it will reflect back at you. I hope that I'm not blinding you guys, but I think it's pretty in person. Just on camera, it's not going to be super amazing or anything, but I mean, who thinks of that kind of stuff when they're designing a palette? Probably not them. But as far as the colors go, I'm going to go ahead and read off from the actual website what the colors are supposed to be, and then I'll kind of give my opinions when we are all done. So if you see me looking down, I have my phone right here. This is going to be my trusty helper today. I'm going to basically look up what the Limecrime website says that the colors are supposed to be. So the first one that we have in the corner here is Eden, and that is a rusty rose metallic. The second one is Love, and that is a bronzed peach metallic. The third one is Passion, which is one of my favorites, and that is a bright raspberry matte. That name is so enticing. The bright raspberry, I love it. I love it so much. The mauve tone in the first row here is Fresca, and that is a taupe with pink sparkle, and that is a sparkle matte. We'll come back to that a little later. Okay, over here is Inspire, and it is a metallic berry tone. The one next to that is Idolized, and it is a toasted caramel, and it is labeled as a glow shadow. All right, moving on. So moving on to the second row here, we have the first shade, which is Aphrodite, and that is a rich red-brown tone, and it is described as a glow finish. I mean, it just looks like a matte to me, but okay, Limecrime. The second one in the row here is New Classic, and that is described as a metallic brown tone. The third one is Burnt Gold, and that is described as a terracotta, and this is also a glow formula. Alright, sure. Definitely is a matte, but that's okay. Flora, right here in the center, which is the reason why I wanted this palette in the first place, is a deep coral matte. Scallop is a light pinky matte. Celestial is a brick with gold sparkle. There, that word is again. Sparkle. Ethereal is a dusty blush metallic. Triumph is a muted cranberry matte. Supreme is a deep mauve glow. Blank Canvas is a cool beige matte. Botticelli sounds like a pasta, and I'm totally here for it. Botticelli is a deep wine berry color, and it is a matte. And the very last one in the palette is Goddess, and this is a dusty rose in the glow formula. Now, upon reading the names, I am not sure what a glow formula is, because to me these perform on the eyeballs just like a matte shadow, and I don't know where they're getting that glow from. These are not glowy, they're mattes. They're mattes. I don't know if that was supposed to be like a selling point, or if they tried a different formula and it just didn't work out very well, but these are not glowy shades, and a lot of them are like deeper tones. Like, why would you want that to be glowy? I don't understand that marketing point at all. They are mattes, so do not be fooled. Now, I'm sure that it was obvious when I was talking about it, but Fresca, the mauve tone with the sparkle throughout it, and Celestial, the berry deep shade with the sparkle throughout it as well. I am not here for mattes with sparkle. I don't understand what the point of this is. I used this on my eyes today, and there is like no sparkle happening here. I don't understand why they even do that. It falls out onto your face, and it just blends away. It's just for aesthetic purposes, I suppose, just when you're actually looking at the palette. Like, oh, that looks pretty, it's sparkly, catches my eye. No one cares, okay? No one wants a matte with sparkle. I know TooFaced originated that, and they're so freaking proud of it. If I could go back in time, I would tell TooFaced to stop. I would go back in time, take the formula from Jared, and shred it. We would not have mattes with sparkle. Let me tell you. Someone get me a time machine, and I'll do it. I'll do it. As far as the mattes go, they are really, really blendable and really pigmented off of first application, and they actually don't create a lot of fallout, which is surprising because these colors, just like with Passion and with Flora and even with Triumph, they are very, very rich in pigment, and you think with a color like that it would create a lot of fallout. Think Subculture, think Dose of Color shadows. Those are all really, really, really rich in pigment, but they create so much fallout because they are so saturated with that pigment. They're actually really nice and smooth and blendable. I can find myself doing eye looks with the mattes in this palette in like 10 minutes and then I'm done. So I'm impressed when it comes to that part of the palette. Now the shimmers are kind of mediocre to me. I used one on my lid today. I used Ethereal and it doesn't even look shimmery to me, and I know I typically don't really gravitate towards shimmers, but I wanted to try it out and test this palette and give it a fair shot, and they just don't really look that metallic. I wet my brush, I layered it up, I did all the things you're supposed to do to get it nice and foiled, and these don't really get foiled. They kind of stay like a satiny shimmer. That's actually how I would definitely describe them. They're more of like a satin or like a really, really subtle shimmer. So if you're into that type of thing, if you have more mature eyelids or you just don't like something super, super shiny on your lids, these are actually nice. And for me, they're nice because I don't really like super, super shiny things on my lids. So for me, this is practical. I can use it and it basically kind of just looks like a matte with a little bit of sheen. But if you were going into this palette thinking that these were going to be like the most pigmented and highly foiled shadows you've ever seen, that is not the case, my friend. I am sorry. Like I said earlier, as far as the color selection goes, I didn't need Idolized and Blank Canvas and Supreme and Burnt Gold. I didn't really need those shades in here. I would have rather them swap these out for more purpley tones that kind of go with Passion. Some tones kind of like this but deeper, and maybe some more like lilac-y colors that would kind of complement the rest of the bright tones in here. I think that would have been really pretty, and I'll put up what I wish that it would have looked like. I think that it would have been a better fit for their market, and I think that people would have liked it more because I have heard a lot of people anti-haul this and say that they're not going to buy it because it looks so similar to the Venus 1 palette and because there's just not anything that's drawing them in more than like these couple tones right here. And I'm not gonna lie, I definitely got drawn in by Flora and Passion, and I am happy that I have this palette because I love those colors. As far as corals and berries go, those are two of the best coral and berry shades that I've ever used in my life. So sometimes when I use shadows, it kind of translates onto my eyes darker. I don't know if that's just my lids or if that's just the shadows themselves, or if I need to use a white base. I've heard that the NYX white base is really good, so I've been considering getting that to help kind of make my shadows pop. Now with these shadows, especially the bright ones like Flora and Passion, I do not need a white base. I use the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer in light, and I do not set it down, and it looks like I used a white base. Like I'm wearing it today. I have Flora in the crease, blended out with Scallop to kind of blend everything and make it look seamless. I have Passion a little bit lower in the crease right underneath Flora, and then I deepened everything up with Celestial. And like I said earlier, these do not really translate onto the eye. All they really do is really translate onto your under eyes because of the glitter fallout. So if you're into that kind of thing, I guess Limecrime has you covered. I don't really know. I don't know why they would do that, but nonetheless, I do really like this palette. I just think that there could be some things changed about it, and I think that they could have done better, but I'm not mad that I have it. I am only going to really use it for a couple shades, and I wish that they would just come out with like singles or smaller palettes, or you know what would have been really good? A Venus Mini. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and make a mock-up of that too, because I like that idea. Maybe like 6 shadows or even 4, like a quad. That is a genius idea. If Limecrime steals that, let me know, because your girl thought of it right here. Now the Polly Pocket Quints that they made a couple of years ago, those were really cute. I like the packaging. I know some people thought they were gaudy and ugly, but I think that they're cute, personally, in my opinion. But the colors in those palettes looked exactly the same as everything they've already released, and I think everyone was very, very, very confused. If Limecrime made little quints or like quads or mini palettes based off of the Venus palettes, but took the theme of the Venus palette and just kind of amped it up a little bit, I think that they would have done really, really well. I think that if they took something like Passion, Flora, Botticelli, and then Ethereal. I think that would have made for an amazing little quad. I think that this is just kind of overkill, and I think that they could have done without needing to put all of these brown tones in this palette. That's my main gripe with it. Now, as far as the Venus 1 palette, I will go ahead and put Dupe That's swatches up and show you guys how similar they actually are. And if you have the Venus 1, you probably don't need the Venus XL. Now, for me personally, I think that this is a good purchase for me because I love those 2 shades so much. And I know that sounds crazy to only want a palette for 2 shades, but they are just so good, and they are going to be replacing my ones that I'm currently using because these ones are so much better and they're so much easier and they take way less time to blend. And I think this is a good purchase for me specifically. I think that if you've never tried the Venus palette, I think this is a good buy because the colors are a little bit more vibrant and they are a little bit more on the pinky side, when originally the OG Venus palette was a little bit more of a rusty tone. This one's a little bit more colorful and a little more saturated. I think that if you have the Venus 1, you do not need this unless you're crazy like me and you want it for those 2 shades. I think that it is a good palette and I'm happy that I have it, but I don't think that everyone needs to run out and buy it because it's expensive and there's a lot of wasted space and a lot of wasted shades. So my overall opinion of this palette is that I think you should buy it if this type of thing appeals to you, if these shades are up your alley and you do not already have the Venus 1 palette. And if you don't really have stuff like this in your collection, I think this is a good one to add to your collection. If you have stuff like this, if you have the Venus 1, I don't really think that you need it, and I think that you will be okay without it. So with that, guys, that is going to wrap up this review. That was my very first review. That was a lot. Like a lot, but it was really fun. So if you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below. I do hope that you consider subscribing if you have not already. I have all sorts of makeup goodness happening here on this channel, and I do hope that you are having an absolutely amazing day wherever you are, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!